And finally, in Denmark, something big is brewing on the Danish grasslands, and it involves the country's most famous residents, cows. Denmark's government has decided to make cows pay for their gaseous contributions to climate change. Dairy farmers will soon face an annual tax of almost $100 per cow for the planet heating emissions they emit. Here's our final report that explains.
Denmark, known for its love of bacon and butter, has decided that its cattle is partying too hard on the planet's expense. With agriculture being the country's top source of emissions, the government has decided to crack down on the real culprits, the cows. Ever thought you'd see the day when cows get taxed? In a world first, Denmark has decided to make their dairy cows cough up for their burps. Starting in 2030, Danish dairy farmers will face an annual tax of $96 per cow in a bid to curb the planet heating emissions they generate. In a landmark move for environmental policy, Denmark's coalition government has agreed to implement the world's first carbon emissions tax on agriculture.
So far there is no other countries that have introduced a tax on the non-energetic related emissions in the agricultural sector. So they're going to be a front runner if they do this. But of course there is a discussion at the EU level to have a quota market for these kinds of emissions. That is currently halt, but perhaps that will be in the future. But we're going to be a front runner if we proceed with this.
In the first 2 years, the proceeds from the tax will support the agricultural industry's green transition. Experts say the whole purpose of this tax is to get the sector to look for solutions to reduce emissions.
The purpose of a target is to give a strong price signal to farmers. So if they want to avoid the target and reduce the emissions, there is a gain, and that is that they don't have to pay the tax. So the tax is a price signal that the farmers can use to say, okay, should I invest in green technology to get rid of the emissions, or should I pay the tax and then I have a higher cost, and the cost will reflect sort of the societal cost of having polluting production.
The Danish dairy industry has largely supported the agreement, recognizing the need for climate action. However, it wasn't necessarily the change they wanted. This discontent echoes recent protests across Europe, where farmers have been demonstrating against environmental regulations. The global food system is a significant contributor to climate crisis. It's responsible for about a third of greenhouse gas emissions. Livestock, especially cows, are like methane-producing machines. They produce around 12% of global emissions through their burps and manure. Denmark is a major exporter of dairy and pork, and the country's agriculture sector is the largest source of greenhouse emissions. The new tax is a part of a broader initiative to transform the Danish landscape and meet ambitious climate goals. The government is also committed to investing a whopping $3.7 billion in environmental measures, including reforestation and creation of wetlands.
There is a lot of different sources that emit carbon dioxide, and so you can, if you want to free the agricultural sector, then you have to find it elsewhere, and that is becoming increasingly difficult. The estimate is that in 2030, 46% of the Danish emission is going to be from the agricultural sector, the non-energy related emissions from the agricultural sector. So something has to be done to reduce the emissions.
Denmark's decision to introduce a cow tax might seem like a bunch of bull, but it also highlights the urgent need to tackle agricultural emissions. As the world watches this moving story, it looks like the stage is being set for a new era of climate policy. For now, the Danish cows might want to keep their heads down and their burps to themselves.